Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Let me check if everything is working correctly before we start off talking about another very dull race in Monaco. Okay, so everything seems to be working okay. So let me tweet out the stream a little bit so we can get some people in here and have a chat about this race. So for anyone that's joining the stream, it would be very much appreciated if you could drop anything you guys want to talk about in the chat. So we can get some conversation starting about this Monaco Grand Prix. Okay, so I'm just tweeting out the stream here. Try and get some more people in here before we start talking about everything that went down today in what was another very, very underwhelming Monaco Grand Prix. Something needs to change. I think that's something we can all agree on, because the racing is just dreadful. What happened today? You had, at the end of the race, you had the four leaders less than a second from each other. Nothing could happen. You had Alonso literally going 3-4 seconds behind everyone else's pace and just forming a sort of train behind him. And there's actually no point in this race. There's nothing that actually happens. It's just a historic race. It's nice views. It's all that, but there's not much point to it. There's not much point to it. So as I said, for anyone that's joining in the stream, I would really appreciate if you could drop some comments in the chat about what you thought of this race. What do you think of this Grand Prix in general? Should it stay on just because it has been there forever? And it's a very historic race and great scenery and all that. But racing-wise, there's actually 0 point in having it. Just waiting for some people to join in so we can have some sort of chat about this race. As I said, for anyone that's joining in, I would love if you could just drop some comments in the chat and of all your thoughts of what went down here today in the Monaco Grand Prix. Obviously, we had a very interesting start, to say the least, with a 30-minute suspension of the race at the start because of the rain. I didn't really understand what was the point of the first suspension. I think the race could have started. Very, very weird. The whole thing was very, very weird. It's almost like they didn't really want any sort of action in this race. It's like they wanted to make it dull. sorry about that. I'm back. Uh, as I was saying, for anyone that's joining in the stream, it would be very much appreciated if you could drop your thoughts of this race in the chat section. I'd be really interested to see what people think of this race. Should it continue happening? Should it just be removed from the schedule? I think there are some sort of talks going on about the Monaco Grand Prix being removed. I wouldn't be totally against it, to be totally honest with you, because it's just so dull watching it. It's so dull. There's nothing happening. Honestly, I'd rather watch paint dry. There's no point. Doesn't look like we're getting any comments at all in the stream, unfortunately. Because I'd be really interested to see what people think. What people think of this race and if it should be continued or not. For anyone that's joining in, just type in the chat anything you guys want to talk about this race. What was a very, very boring race in the end. I would love to hear your guys' opinions on it. Obviously, Sergio Perez did end up winning the race, and he's not far away from the championship lead. I think he's just like 16 points behind Verstappen or something like that. He's not that far away, and if he had won in Spain last week, I think he would be ahead of Leclerc right now. It's going to be interesting to see if Sergio Perez can keep up with Leclerc and Verstappen. Leclerc today was very, very unlucky with Ferrari's strategy, stopping him behind Sainz for some reason. He lost a lot of time in the pits and lost 3 positions. It looked like he could be able to cruise to his first win in Monaco, but his Monaco curse just keeps on going. Finishing 4th here today. Not great for Leclerc. Hasn't won in a while. It is going to be in his mind that if he doesn't start winning races again, Red Bull could start to run away with this. Obviously, next race I think is in Baku. Baku is a pretty similar, kind of similar circuit to Monaco. There's a lot of twists and turns. Not many overtaking possibilities except from that big start-finish straight. So it's going to be interesting to see if Red Bull or Ferrari are going to be on top there. But if Leclerc doesn't win again in Baku, it's going to start to get a little bit worrisome for Ferrari after that great start they had and the problems that Red Bull seem to have with their engine that seems to be kind of fixed at this point. And with Leclerc having that engine blow up in the last race, it's not looking good for them. It really is not. And Sergio Perez is massively outperforming Carlos Sainz so far. And Red Bull have a very healthy lead in the Constructors' Championship as well. So that's another big problem for Ferrari. Elsewhere, Mercedes didn't really seem to have that pace that they had in Barcelona this week. They couldn't keep up with the front 4. Russell had a very clean race, finishing 5th. Another top 5 finish for George Russell. and Lewis Hamilton just got stuck behind Fernando Alonso, couldn't really do anything there. And that's the main problem with this circuit, because Fernando Alonso was so much slower than everyone else. He literally formed a train of like 15 cars behind him because he was going so slow, and no one could do anything about it. No one could overtake him, and it made for a very, very dull finish to this race. Very dull finish. Obviously, we had that big, massive crash by Mick Schumacher, which caused the red flag. Thankfully, he was okay, because it looked like a very, very big crash. The car literally was cut in half. It's the second time I think this happened to him this season. I think it happened in Abu Dhabi, not Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia as well. Mick Schumacher is another driver who's not having a great year. He massively outperformed Nikita Mazepin last season, but so far this year hasn't really performed. He's made a lot of mistakes. I don't know if he'll be able to keep his seat next season if he continues like this. So let's see what else is happening right now. Have any news on anything? Obviously, very, very nice to see Sergio Perez winning after what happened last week in Spain with the whole team orders thing, which he wasn't really happy about, but he ended up winning this race. As you can see, this was the finishing results, the top 10 finishes. Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Norris, who also got the fastest lap, Alonso, Hamilton, Bottas, and Vettel. This is the top 10. We had 3 DNFs. I think it was both Haas drivers didn't finish the race, and Albon as well. So guys, for anyone who's joining the stream, would love for you guys to drop something in the comments so we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. As you can see, more Monaco pain for the home hero. It was his first actual finishing of a race here, so you could say that's a bit of an improvement, but I'm 100% happy he's not going to be 100% certain he's not going to be happy with his result today, and he's not going to be happy with his team. He's not going to be happy with them after what happened in that pit stop. Sergio Perez becomes the 3rd different winner in 2022. Obviously, Verstappen with 4 wins, Leclerc with 2, and Perez now with 1 win. I think this was Verstappen's first race, not finishing first or second for the first time since Hungary last year. Incredible run coming to an end for Max, but still getting 3rd after starting 4th ahead of his championship rival. I'd have to say it's a very successful weekend for Max Verstappen. What would look like as a Leclerc win and Max finishing 4th, he ends up finishing ahead of his rival, extending that championship lead, and he could be looking at his 2nd world title in a row. For anyone that's joining in, as I said, just drop in the comments below what you guys thought of this race, and if you guys think it's time to just put an end to this Grand Prix, and because it was actually very, very dull. After that red flag, nothing actually happened. It was a pretty interesting call as well, not have any sort of standing race start, neither at the start, neither after the red flag. I think a race start would have actually made this a lot more interesting, but maybe it was a safety concern, that's why it didn't happen. I'm not 100% sure on that, so I'm not gonna comment too much on it. So obviously now next race, as I said, is Baku. Baku was a very exciting race last season with Sergio Perez actually winning there. That was his first win as a Red Bull driver. Could he do maybe back-to-back wins in Baku? I think it's in 2 weeks' time. It's now a back-to-back race. Obviously, last year we had Verstappen's tire blowout in the final couple of laps, and Hamilton locking up and going straight at the restart, and in a mistake that basically cost him the championship at the end of the year. If you think about it, Baku's usually way more interesting than Monaco. I'm expecting a more interesting race, um, but we'll have to wait and see. Doesn't look like we're getting any sort of comments in by anyone that's joining in the stream. Unfortunately, because I'd love to hear what you guys think of this race and if it should continue happening, or if it should just be replaced. Because I don't think that there could be any adjustments could be made, because it is obviously a street circuit. I don't think there is a possibility of any small differences being made on the circuit and making it more overtaking friendly. I don't think that's possible, and that's basically why I think it's time to move on from Monaco and do something different. Obviously, it's a very historic race. It's very glamorous, a very nice looking race. It's with all the casino and the marina there in Monaco, all the boats and the yachts. But it has some very dull racing, and that's the main problem. And with the way that F1 is trying to move more into America than Europe, and with Las Vegas, with the Las Vegas race coming in next year, I think it might be time that Monaco is going to be removed. I won't be super sad not seeing Monaco in the calendar. Obviously, it's nice having a historic race at a circuit that hasn't changed at all over the years, but it just makes for a very boring race every year. And F1's most important thing right now is making the sport more interesting for neutral viewers and new viewers to join in, and watching a track where zero overtaking is possible is not the best for any not diehard viewers of F1, which is quite a lot of people at the moment. So guys, that's everything I had to say. It looks like we're not getting any new people in the stream. So I'm gonna end the stream here. Thank you guys for joining in. For anyone that joined in, it's very much appreciated. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.